Welcome to What Nobody Tells You. I'm your host, James Ferrigno. Join me while we explore the truths most people never hear. Welcome to What Nobody Tells You. I'm your host, James Ferrigno. And today on What Nobody Tells You, our guest is Jai McPheron, and she's a wellness coach and instructor. Welcome, Jai.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
Great. Good. What led you to yoga, Qigong, and energy work?
Okay. Well, I was an organic produce farmer, actually. And on my farm, a young lady was interning and she was singing some really cool songs. And I said, "Will you teach me?" And she was singing yoga songs. And so we had a bridge, a river on this farm, and we would go sit on the bridge and sing together. And that led me into yoga. And I had an interesting teacher who was very stern and unfriendly. And I decided to go learn how to teach myself because I didn't want to be in a predicament like I was in. So that kind of led me into it. And then the teaching started because I would volunteer at my son's school, and I told the secretary of the school that I was becoming a teacher of yoga, and she said, "Oh, will you teach us, the teachers?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do this." So it's just been this weird invitation. I keep getting invited into teaching more, and it's led to a career in teaching yoga, mindfulness, and Qigong to one-on-one with people right now.
Yeah, sometimes it just unfolds. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So before you had all the certifications and training, did you have a personal struggle or something that got you started on it? Most of us do.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a very rough childhood. So basically, when I was 17, well, I was out of the house when I was 15. When I was 17, I was like, there is something very real wrong with me, and no doctors could tell me what it was. So I just went on a journey. I've been on that journey for decades now, and it started with learning herbs and diet and how do I feed myself so I feel better, and yeah, little by little, I'd learn a little more and be led to the next training. And yeah, it's been a long healing journey.
So you're a wellness coach, and what could someone expect if they work with you? Are you doing Qigong with them? Are you doing mindfulness techniques or energy work? Like, what does it look like?
Well, one of the really cool things about going through what I've been through is I'm very empathic with people, and I can feel their struggles and their pain, unfortunately. And so I can sit with somebody and call it out, like point out, what are you feeling this? Are you feeling this? And they're like, "Whoa, how do you know these things?" And I say, I just feel them. And I meet people where they're comfortable going. Some people are like, "Yeah, let's get on the mat. Let's show me everything you got." And other people are like, "I don't know, maybe one breath technique, maybe." You know? So it spans the whole gamut of what is someone willing to learn with me. So yeah, the one thing that is true for everybody though is that I can really help them identify where their conditioning is in their nervous system and their emotional dysregulation, and whatever feels right to them, that's where we go. But the main goal is self-regulation emotional regulation and being able to steer the life you want.
Okay, yeah, I love that. So your skill and experience and expertise is broad enough that when you have a client or you're working with someone, you follow them, then you can bring to bear whatever tools or whatever system is appropriate.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll misread a situation, and I'll teach a skill that somebody's not ready for. And like that happened recently, and I was like, you have to understand my library is like really, really big. This isn't the only skill, like, but I feel like sometimes people want to just be able to say no and have it be okay. So, like, they want to work with me just so they can tell me no. If that makes sense. So yeah, I feel like this person in particular is feeling empowered and getting somewhere, just telling me, no, I don't want to work on skills today. So it really, it spans a very big continuum of what somebody is willing to do with me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've found that when I'm working with people too, it really comes down to, I think it really is true that I'm just there to support and guide people in the end heal themselves, and it's what's appropriate for them, what they want, what they will do, what they're willing to do, what it's time for them to do. Well, there's all these different factors on whether it doesn't work like Western medicine where it's like, take this antibiotic, this works for everyone,
Yeah, and it doesn't.
So, which, even though they say that, even the antibiotic doesn't actually work for everyone.
Right.
But yeah, it really does depend on the person. And I've found a lot of people who seemingly just are not ready to heal. They're just not ready. So they just won't do the things that are necessary. But that's just where they're at.
Yeah. And it's an interesting challenge for me to sit with someone who has said they want to work with me. So that takes a step, right?
Yeah.
And then shows that resistance. And so then it's like up to me to figure out how to navigate that. And it's very challenging.
Yeah.
In a meaningful way.
Yeah, like that. Have you found that a lot of working with people is simply choosing the person that's the proper fit, choosing the person who's ready to work with you?
That would be great to get to that level.
Yeah.
Of being able to choose. So at this point, I basically, the only time I will say no. So I have to, I guess, clarify that generally I work through the government. So the government gives me cases.
Okay. Oh,
and
so that's a different situation than a lot of people are in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I work with people for years, weekly. And sometimes it goes really well. And other times it's very challenging. And every once in a while, both of us say, this isn't a good fit. We can't do this. And very, very rarely do I say, no, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I did find that my boundary is active meth users. Can't do it. So
that could be challenging. Yeah, I know what you mean. I empathize. I still do some special ed clients, usually people with emotional disturbance, anxiety, anger outbursts. So those people, they're just coming to me through an agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not choosing them. And it can be, that's where you learn. That's what I've found. That's how I've learned so much, just getting thrown this person that often is the person that wasn't having success anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
They've
Exactly.
gone through the system and nobody has been able to help them. Boom, boom, boom. And then they finally get to me and they've been through everybody else. So is that what you're seeing?
Yes, and it's
Yeah.
really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because it's a special program in Wisconsin that's not in every state, and yeah, and that's pretty much the deal. Some people work with me and they're just so excited
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, "Whoa, I get to do this,"
Yeah.
and they see the advantage that they can bring and move into their life, and they really grab it and run. And other people are like, well, everybody else has ditched me, so I'm just waiting for you to ditch me too. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I learned so much doing that, and I've been handed more and more challenging cases to the point where I actually, last year or two, I've been asking for them. So I've been asking for, give me the hardest case.
Wow.
Give me the one that nobody else can handle. And I just come up with something, just come up with something. I've never had a crystal meth addict, so I'm not sure how that would go.
Yeah.
But I've had other addicts and a lot of people with a lot of challenges with, layered challenges.
Yeah.
Where they've
Yeah.
got 4 or 5 different things going on. And one thing I've learned, you tell me if you found this as well, is that it's kind of simplified my practice a little bit. I almost now always start with holding space. And sometimes that's all you can do with difficult, challenged people. But it takes time. Patience becomes really important. And it can take some time, but I've found it to always be successful. What's your take on just having to just hold space?
Yeah. So this challenge with this person who she doesn't actually want to do any skills with me, I have been really sitting with, what do I do? And I have decided that it's just be present. So holding space. And so I go to their house and I sit on the floor and I let them do, like, the family's doing their thing. There's young children, and I just sit there, and if the kids come up to me and want to talk to me, I'll talk to them, and I'll talk to my client when she's ready, and if she's not, I just do my best to be present and not let my anxiety come up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's an important aspect of it. Yeah. Yeah, I will ground myself and then kind of ground the room.
Nice.
Make sure they're grounded, and that alone can be pretty good. I'm holding space, putting a bubble around them.
I like that.
Though I do like to, it can be difficult. I've been in a situation where I was, and I like to have the person alone, because when there's other people around, it's a mess, especially kids, because they're kinetic. But yeah, so that is challenging. I remember doing it in a setting where we were surrounded by 50 highly, highly challenged people who are making noise and have no boundaries at all. And, trying to carve out that space in the middle of that was really, really an experience. But eventually I learned to do it. So
That's
it looks
cool.
like you're doing a similar thing.
Yeah. I just had something similar to what you're saying, where I met someone in a gym because that's where they wanted to meet. And there is people working out around us, and it ended up being too overstimulating, and got this person into anger. And then I had to deal with calming them down and not letting it get to me too much. So I find that this is teaching me how to be a Taoist, I guess, like how do I go into the world and face all the anger and overwhelm and dysregulation that's all over the place, and do my best without wanting to hide under a rock. Go in the cave and not come out for 10 years.
Yeah, it took me many years to be able to not have any nervousness myself doing that. And I don't know if I've ever even told anyone this. To be honest, what it just at one point clicked in on its own. I'm not aware of that I'm doing anything. I just practiced that at a lot. And at some point, I think I was just so focused on what I was doing, so focused on the grounding, so focused on the other person. And I already have my own protection and bubble and everything that, I don't know, I just didn't have time to get nervous and pay attention to it. So, but it took many, many thousands of hours of, the old thing of just doing the thing while you're afraid, just do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I think, have you found that, just having to step into that fear and just take the action?
I mean, even taking this job was that, so my husband and podcast partner, Monty, he's a therapist. And so he started working with this organization first, and they were looking for a yoga teacher. And he kept saying, oh, you should do this. You should do this. This would be great. We should, we can partner, da, da, da. And I was like, I'm too scared, because I know my trauma, and I knew that all these other people had the same or more. And how was I going to be able to go into that knowing my own anxiety level? And so it took me 2 years to get ready to even agree to do this job. And I took courses on the neuroscience of trauma. I did like psychologist continuing eds. That's how I prepared, because I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I wanted to be ready for it. So
yeah.
But I love what you're saying, because that seems to me like the trajectory I'm on is, the more I mature, the more I am able to just be and feel that anxiety come and be like, no, it's okay. It's okay. And just talk myself down. So I've been doing this for 6 years, so I'm not to the 10-year mark, but it's good to hear that you notice that happen.
Yeah, it's a growth path. Yeah, I can see that you're going through that. With me, it was. You can tell me if this sounds familiar. I've done a lot of studying on emotions and dealing with my own, but trying to not be afraid, trying to step out of the anxiety or get rid of it, is what allows it to continue. So it's just letting it be exactly what it is. I'm just going to lessen it now while I'm doing this. I'll just push it to the side. No. Just let it be exactly what it is. And I'm going to feel as much as I feel. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to do this work with this person. And that, I think that's how it eventually faded, was just by not fighting it, just letting it be, just accepting it.
I would say I'm not there yet. Like, it's just so great to hear what you're saying. You know Thich Nhat Hanh?
I've heard the name,
okay,
but I have no knowledge.
Thich Nhat Hanh was a Vietnamese Buddhist he started a huge global international movement of peace. And during the
Okay.
Vietnam War, he started schools and like safe places for people, and he refused to hate the Americans and things like that. He eventually did get kicked out of Vietnam for a while, but then they let him come back. And he's written a ton of books on this subject. And one of them's called Taming the Tiger Within. And yep, and I read that a couple times and I found it very annoying.
Yeah.
But he talks about holding your anger like a child throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand that until I was in Vietnam recently, and I saw this family dealing with a child throwing a tantrum. And they were very calmly, nobody was angry. And this is, I guess, that when you put cultural context on something, it starts to make more sense. Because, when I first read that, I was thinking about how I felt when my kids had tantrums, and my anxiety would peak and I'd be like, what do I do? But in this situation, the mom and the dad were just getting ready to get on their motorcycle, and their kids like flailing on the ground, and they're just like, they were not upset. They didn't appear to be anxious. I didn't feel anxiety from them. And I was just like, oh, that's what Thich Nhat Hanh meant, is to just be at that place of, oh, you're throwing a fit, you're kicking your feet. Oh, I see. I'll just set you on the bike and hold you in front of me, and it's gonna be okay. Like, oh, that's what he meant. So ever since then, I've been more able, but not in the moment like you're saying. It's more like when I get home. And I'm sitting in my recliner and I just let the tears roll. I'm just like, okay, that was really hard, and okay, I just gotta feel this and just be okay with where it is and let it roll and let it flow through me, and then eventually it goes away, and I'm like, okay, do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's very familiar. That's really good. Made me think of several different things. I worked as a sped teacher for many years, and I still do have a couple of kids. And for behavior modification, to do positive behavior modification strategies, back to B.F. Skinner, the positive ones work much better than punishment or the negative ones, which can actually backfire on you. That's just a scientific reality. But part of the positive behavior modification, important part, is when undesired behavior is exhibited, you must completely ignore it as if it's not happening. You can't even just be neutral to it, or you have to treat, if a kid's flailing on the ground like that, you act like they're just sitting there quietly.
That's what this family was doing.
That's what you do, and it works really well, really well. It can be difficult to do. I had kids attack me during that, and I just stood my ground. I just stood there and acted like I wasn't being attacked, right? But it did. It eventually worked. It eventually worked,
I said, wow, that sounds really difficult.
It was very difficult. I worked in this facility for disturbed or orphans. They all had 3 strikes. They're all orphans, had an addiction, and had been in prison for some kind of violent thing, or had extreme emotional disturbance. Yeah, there was a lot of that there. That was I couldn't have done it. I did it for 6 months, I think, but that was the limit. I learned a lot. Yeah, nobody could keep doing that. It was just too crazy. But anyway, that behavior modification, it really works to just, you ignore negative behaviors and you give positive praise or, affirmation wherever you can find it, So, and it will really,
It sounds like such self-discipline
Mm-hmm.
on your part, and like almost like I don't know if I
Yeah, it was fun. No, I would come home shaking. Yeah,
can.
it was nasty. It was bad.
Yeah.
But I did learn a lot. And I learned how it works, and now I really can experientially speak to the fact that positive reinforcement works and punishment is the best you're going to get is sporadic, unpredictable effects at best.
Yeah. And it causes all this strange conditioning that the person has no idea
Yeah, there's a whole
in
bunch of
later life.
issues with it. Yeah, and that often the person will only, their behavior is only modified while the threatening person is around. The second they're gone, that's not always the case, but that's one possible problem. The other is you're creating, you're causing them more trauma. So now there's another problem down the road that you have actually created.
Yeah.
So this is the problem with, punishment, the way the system of jurisprudence functions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pivot away from this.
Okay.
So energy work. I know I see your take on this. So for a lot of people, just the very word energy is woo-woo, and at the very least, they're confused or don't know what it is. So how do you usually address that with people? What's your take on that?
I've found that in general, it's okay because I'm already kind of a interesting person that people double take, like, who was that? I wear a lot of colorful things and have my own style, and I just don't care. And I mean, I do, but I don't, And so in general, when I talk about energy with people, it's okay. But I have found that sometimes it's just not somewhere I can go. Like it's alarming. Their defenses come up. And one person expressed to me, like, if you tell me to feel my breath in my back, I can do that. If you tell me to feel the energy, my hackles go up. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just adapted to what this person needed, and this is the specific population of people being, left behind, and the people that I work for. But when I've been teaching, I've never had a problem with it, because I feel like if somebody is going to a class, that they're kind of already expecting something out of the mainstream. So when I was teaching a lot, I was teaching like 12 classes a week, and it was fun. I actually really enjoyed it. It got stopped from COVID though, and I'm scared to go back. I don't really know why, but at the time, and I still believe this, I really focus on relaxation, because if we can get our parasympathetic nervous system online, then the body will repair itself. So I am very much focused on how do I help this group of people fully release their body and let every muscle, every nerve relax. So I really developed, I'd call it a superpower. I'm really good at yoga nidra. I don't know if you've heard of yoga nidra. Deep relaxation.
Yeah.
And like half my class would be this yoga nidra, and people knew that if they needed to relax, they knew where to go. And so in that scene, it's like, feel the energy here, feel the energy there. And people are like, okay.
Yeah, and that's surrounding, if it's a Qigong or yoga class, everybody's going to just accept the word energy.
Right. Yeah. And what I found about that is if if I just simply say, feel your hand, feel your big toe, feel your heel, then they don't need to even know about energy.
Yeah, you can just omit the word. That I've done that. Yeah, I've done that with people. And if you worked with people that were assigned to you, are you working with kids?
Yeah, I do work with kids. I do find that they just really want somebody to be there with them and to witness them. And yeah, I enjoy working with them, but sometimes I just want to tell their parents, like, all that your kid wants is for you to give them 100% attention and not correct it, not challenge it. They just want to tell you a story. That's it.
Yeah. Usually if a kid is acting out or doing something, it's because they could have an excessive amount of energy, but usually there's some fear underneath there, some discomfort, and often that is from disconnection, feeling alone and uncertain and unstable. For that, someone needs to be with them, but not just standing in the same room talking to them or telling them to do things, but really connecting with them. And it's amazing when you can just look at a kid, just connect with them, be there with them. They'll just drop right into their sympathetic nervous system. It might take a minute or two.
It's really neat to see how the younger, well, I guess not the younger you are, but the less stuck a person is in their own systems, the faster they can shift out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Even with very few skills, It's very interesting.
Yeah. What not to do with a kid when they're acting out or upset is don't tell them to do anything. Don't ask them to do anything. Don't give them any choices. And don't give them any lectures. Basically, don't talk to them. You can talk, but only in a very limited way. You can say positive things. You can give them positive reinforcement, but mostly connect with them, which can be challenging for parents. They got 5 kids and they're all running around. You can't connect with all of them at once.
Right. Yeah.
So this brings us to embodiment. I think we've been dancing around that. So do you often work with people on embodiment?
Yeah, I feel like somatic practices are the best way to get out of our head. And I even have a skill. I am pretty sure I made this up, but it's out of dealing with my own PTSD, and because you can get really up here and it can actually hurt. The brain can hurt, like it feels like it doesn't fit in the skull because the gears are just spinning so fast. And so I came up with this mantra: no story, back to the body. And so it doesn't matter if I'm even telling happy stories to myself sometimes. If I've decided that right now I'm going to be in my body, it doesn't matter what the story is, how happy, how fantastical, how horrible. We're just not doing that right now. So that's how I work with myself, which maybe on the strict side, I know I'm strict with myself, but I found that I think I came up with that about 6 or 8 months ago. And whenever I can remember to do it, which is more and more often as time goes on, it just stops the negative spinning, the rumination, and it just stops it. And instead it's like, I feel tight around my kidneys. Can I breathe into those areas and see if I can relax those nerves? And instead of it being, I can't even really give an example, but how the mind has 200 stories all at the same time. And, it's just like, whoa, how could I even be thinking this many thoughts at one time? And And then it's like, oh, wait, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? Can I let it go? And make the thoughts all about the sensations in the body. And I find it's really helpful.
Yeah, I like that. I've never heard it phrased exactly that way before, but yeah, I really like that. I do a similar thing. I've do it with clients, but also with myself. Like when I had fear or anxiety, I mean, because really, emotions are like the weather. They just pass through you. They last, what, 15 seconds to a minute maximum. So, but what's happening with people is they start thinking about it, and then the thought reignites the emotion again. So it's like you're triggering yourself over and over and over. And so getting out of your head, being able to, wait, how did you say it?
No story, back to the body.
Yeah. So then you can because emotions are essentially, they're energy, but they're energy that you feel in your body. It's a feeling in your body. It's not a thought. The thoughts create them, though. So all these emotions can just be created by thoughts. And so if you can stop having the thoughts, you'll stop having the emotion. I eventually found out it's hard for me to judge with other people, but for myself, if I'm truly in my body, I can't experience anxiety. It can't happen.
Right. It really is amazing. And that kind of goes back to what you were saying about when you were with clients and you would just ground while you were there and let the emotion flow through you without attaching. And to me, that was like, oh, okay, I want to start trying to do that because I could feel that that's the next level, the next place to go for me. And instead of waiting till I get home, just do it right there,
Yeah.
and be the example instead of, for me, I was way over punished to the point where I literally was removed from the home for the massive abuse that I was experiencing. And so I'm a people pleaser because I want to avoid violence at all costs, which is great for my job in a way because I'll take anything anyone dishes and like figure out how to navigate in a way that helps them calm down. So my coping mechanism is really useful, except when I get home, it's just like, whoa, my spine is so tight. So I've been working with like, how do I stop being a people pleaser in this scene, And it's, I like to believe that as I mature, that's just kind of the nature of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the process. Establishing your own clear boundaries so that you don't let other people cross, and learning to say no and being comfortable with it. And for me, because I had some of that as well, was learning that the people pleasing, like the rescuing people, is drama. So then you're creating drama, which, is destabilizing. So you don't want to be in that. Yeah. And back to the boundaries.
Yeah, that's a new, like, I just don't get boundaries. And I think that's kind of part of, my past. But, and this is something that I asked my teacher about in front of the whole class. I was like, because he was talking about how that you need to be able to flow in any situation and not to be stuck in any identity. And I was like, well, what if you over-identify with being a chameleon and you don't even know who you are? And so he didn't actually know how to answer that, but a fellow class or student answered that you have to know what your essence is. And so I've been really thinking about that because in my work, I drive to people's homes. So it's usually about an hour drive to somebody's house. And so in that drive, usually on the way there, I'm singing and, just having listen to a podcast or singing or something like that. And on the way home, I'm just decompressing. slowly as I come home, and just thinking about like, what is my essence? And what I've learned from you today is that I should be grounding on the way there. I should be placed in that bubble. I know all this energy work, but intention setting is a weakness of mine. I forget, and I just show up and I'm like, hi, what's going on? And it's completely vulnerable,
Yeah. And that is the end of part 1 of my conversation with Jai McPheron. Make sure to come back next week for part 2. We talk about some pretty amazing things, give you some tools. We talk about dealing with anxiety and trauma, so you don't want to miss that. Hi guys, if you could like, subscribe, follow, share, that way I can help bring you more information and better podcasts in the future. Thanks.